Today on Legacy Event Pros, we talk to Brian Cox from BLC Entertainment. We talk about lighting, how lighting can transform things. That's so cliche, but we're going to talk about lighting today, and not just the cliche stuff, but some industry specifics and how lighting can be used for your event to, I don't even know what to say, transform the room. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Going pretty good. So I got stuck in the cliche intro of like, lighting will transform the room. Lighting will transform the room. How sick are you of hearing that?
Well, it's true. It does transform the room. It can take a very dull or out of date ballroom or banquet center and really transform it into a dream wedding.
I know it's just so hard to get away from that word transform. It's so cliche. I hate to repeat myself over and over again, but you like want to say, because I think it doesn't say how much of a change it is. It doesn't even put it in context. It's just like transform. It's like not the same.
Well, that's why we started doing these social media transformation Tuesdays, lighting transformation Tuesdays, so you can see a before and after of what a room would look like and how much lighting does change a room.
And we're going to be going over some of that lighting today, right? Or some of those pictures today, as far as like, kind of walking through, because you see, I think sometimes you see a picture and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. But man, I don't think people know what goes into making that beautiful, when it comes to all of the lights that have to be in there. And how do you pick that? So those are the things that we're going to be talking about today. But first, I want to introduce Brian, my friend, and talk a little bit about BLC, about your journey, about how you got in this industry, about who you are, and then we'll get into the actual meat and potatoes.
Absolutely. Sean, I've known you for a number of years now. I'm originally, and I went to Wright State University for design technology with an emphasis in lighting production. And throughout my college career at Wright State, I switched more from the theater design side to more of the corporate events. I got started my freshman year doing the Wright State University Arts Gala, and that's been, unfortunately, hasn't happened in the past 2 years because of COVID, but that's been what really built my own company. I started the company in 2009, right around the time I was graduating, and it really took off, focusing more on the corporate events, the wedding lighting, and really involved into the company that is now. And what I like about how I do with lighting and special events, it's different. A lot of the lighting might look the same because, at the Dayton Art Institute, someone sees the picture of Bistro Lights, that's what they want, but it's completely different. It's customizable to each event, each wedding, and it's like you go into a new venue or the same venue a different week, and you get to create some magic and transform the room into what that client's vision is. And then throughout the years, we're a little over 10 years now. In 2019, July of 2019, we launched a separate division of BLC Entertainment called the Venue Management Division. And that's when we created Carillon Park Event Services on the grounds of Carillon Park at Dayton History. And we started running and operating all of their event rentals, whether it's in their new ballroom, the Eichelberger Pavilion, or any of the rentals at Memorial Hall or Old Courthouse, Patterson, Homestead. We have taken over the entire operation of that, as well as still doing the production work there. So we've transformed into more than just lighting and audio and things like that. Lighting is what our backbone is of the company, but we've evolved into a full service production company that now handles venue management as well.
So I have an idea. We should do a drinking game every time the word transform comes up.
I'm down with that.
So that's quite a journey. And how long have you been doing all of this?
I have been doing lighting production since 2005, even before that. When I was in high school up in Cleveland, I worked with companies like Vincent Lighting, Huey's Audiovisual, AA Sound out of Akron, and I've worked freelance and summer seasonal work at a few of those companies and some here in town as well. So I officially started my own company in 2009, but I've been doing this well before that.
Because we were at the Dayton Arcade. We were doing a lighting thing at the day. You were doing a lighting thing. We were doing the DJ stuff, but we were talking, and I had this like little epiphany of like, we're the OGs now. We're the, I still remember when we were so fresh and we were, you know, at our first couple of events and we were talking about lighting and stuff like that. And it was like, ooh, somebody who likes lighting like me, it's a nerd.
So, yeah, the bridal show trying to make the biggest and best bridal show booth. And then later we realized that was just a waste of time.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like it impressed us, but I don't think it really did what it was supposed to do to the client. So, but it wasn't until, you know, we kind of looked around and stuff. And I thought I don't want to say last men standing, but it's the industry has changed. And I think it's a testament to the versatility of BLC and you and your company that you're still here and that you're still doing well. And so taking over Carillon Park, you know, was, we have been at Carillon Park for a while now, and so it's nice. It has never run as smooth as it is running now. So I'll just say that and say that compliment to you and your team. So,
thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about lighting. I mean, so there's all these buzzwords around, you know, uplighting and, you know, all of the things that go along with that. But tell me a little bit about lighting in general, as far as the options that you can have, because I think it's a little overwhelming for people when they have all these options. You know, the things that you do are fantastic, and the things that you do really are those pictures that wow people. But what goes into that? You know, if you take a picture, what's common? Uplighting, pen lighting, monograms, projection mapping. Talk.
Yeah, it changes for each client or each bride or anyone who is getting lighting. And you're right, it can be very overwhelming. Someone will look at a Pinterest board or Pinterest and say, wow, this is incredible, but it looks like there's way too much going into it, or way too much working parts. And what we do is we custom design everything. You know, uplighting, for example, everyone in the world has uplighting. We have a couple. We've got almost 500 different style fixtures of uplighting, whether it's LED, conventional, or battery powered. You as a DJ with Legacy has uplighting. You know, every DJ offers uplighting, and a lot of venues have uplighting too. Uplighting is a very simple option. It looks good if it's tastefully done, but it could also, you know, not be it might destroy the feel or the look of a venue. So uplighting is a very great option. Pin lighting is also good, table spots, but it works for great situations, and sometimes it doesn't work for other situations. And we will never sell someone pin lighting if not the right feel. For example, if you just have some votive candles and the mirror on your table, you don't need pin spotting. That's one thing, but pin spotting is designed to light up the centerpiece and the table. And if you don't have anything you're lighting up for, we don't client to waste the money. So we would design an option for that if they want it, and then, you know, we can figure out how coordinate that in where it would look good. But we customize the design so it's not overwhelming. We'll, for example, at Grand Hall or Dayton Art or any of these other venues, you'll see a picture of it and say, well, I like this. Well, this is our package 5 or whatever it is. We've got some names for them. They're customizable or they're custom to each venue because they're dedicated to those venues that we're frequently at. And it's less overwhelming for the client. They can look at the pictures, understand, okay, this is what I want, explain what goes into it, but they don't have to have the details of, okay, well, you're going to get billed this much for 25 uplights. You need 10 pin spots. You have a ceiling template wash, any of that. They don't need those details. We give it to them on the proposal of this is what goes into this, but this picture is what your design is. And we also do some renderings with it too, so they can get a sense of what it looks like without having seen it in person.
Okay, so let's break it down here a little bit. So we talked about uplights and pin lights. What else do we have? What else makes these?
So there are a handful of different names: gobos, monograms. Those are great for corporate events, for a corporate logo. I've had my logo projected at bridal shows. I don't think we've made your logo yet. We should probably do that.
TVs, man. You know why they don't make my logo? Because I'll change it in a week or two. That's true.
That's what
everybody would say.
Very true.
Don't worry about doing it because Sean will make you redo it.
Yeah. But we've had corporate events where like Spectrum, Verizon, things like that. And then also for weddings, we can customize the monogram or the gobo, whether it's just initial name and date, or if it's a monogram or a seal that they have on their cake or on their invitations. If they send us the document, we can actually get that cut into a gobo within reason. Sometimes some of the detail doesn't come out properly, and then that's when we switch to a TV or a projector. But for the most part, we can project just about any monogram. And then we also work on the focusing of the monogram. We make sure it's in the right spot. I don't want to put a stand on the corner of the dance floor and have the monogram on an angle so you can't read it. We make sure it's in the right spot. Along with the gobos, it's not necessarily but template washes, whether they're on the dance floor, on the ceilings, on the walls. We can customize the look of the room by transforming the room. Saying transform here. We can, yeah, exactly. With different images, texture patterns. There have also been times that we've actually created a dance floor. For example, a place like Masonic or Grand Hall, where it's got that marble floor that you might not have a dance floor there. You don't want to bring in a portable dance floor. We can shutter down an image on the floor that isolates where the dance floor would typically be. So you get that sense of it, and we can overlay a custom monogram on top of that as well.
Okay. Anything else we're missing here? We have template wash and gobo/monogram we added to it.
There are about a billion other options that are all customized. It's between the different colors, the images. Bistro Lights, string lights are popular in the right spot. We actually just created a brand new Bistro setup at the Grand Hall, which I don't think I know that one. We've got some other photos of it though. And then some specialty effects, things like that, which have to do with lighting but don't. The first dance on a cloud, the low-lying dry as fog, but having the lighting in the right spot will provide the glow of that you're actually on a cloud instead of just this white spot everywhere. Down to some special effect things like the lightsabers, which are fun, and this is for that are not stabbing me.
I think it hits you in the private parts, actually. I mean, yeah, I know that you're trying to be PG and say stab, but I mean, he was going for your privates. No doubt about it.
It was assault. I should press charges, but I like you too much.
You press charges on Brian or on Brandon, not me.
I mean, I may be able
to. That's true. That's true. And you could probably get me for like an accomplice or something like that. I did hand them and say, go sword fight on the stage. So
yeah,
it's probably.
But so other lighting, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask about other things. I just want to make sure, I guess, to encompass everything that BLC does, because the low-lying fog, for instance, or the dancing on the clouds is what it's called sometimes. But let's roll back the hands of time 5 years or so. No, I mean, it's not like low-lying fog was a new thing. I mean, we had dry ice machines way back then, but nobody did it. Nobody decided to do it. And then it got big and, it hit Pinterest and stuff like that. And that's when people start asking for stuff. I think with, we took a walk through your warehouse a couple weeks ago, and, you look at stuff and you're like, man, I never knew you could even do that at a wedding. So I think, is there anything else that we're missing as far as services that you do that people wouldn't even know to ask? I mean, not everybody's on Pinterest. I mean, like 99.97% are, but I mean, how do you know what to ask for if you don't know it exists?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we've been doing with some of the photos you got. We're working on building our Pinterest board of just different design options. We're actually making um, design, not design board. You know, this is what is possible when it comes to lighting. You've got the basics of lighting. You know, your light projects the light. It's what you do with that. So,
Mm-hmm.
like when we get to the center photo, I'll point out everything that's in it. There's actually quite a few different options in there,
Mm-hmm.
different sides, in different, and that's why we sit down with the client or the bride and say, okay, what are your thoughts on? You can show us some Pinterest things, and then if there's something that we're constantly creating new options that we want to try and photo shoots with it, and we live stories of, well, this, I saw this somewhere, but we're really interested in that, and then our design mind starts saying, okay, well, we have this option, or we do this or this, and that's when it all comes down to, we customize everything, each wedding, for example, of new pin spots, as long as they can get to the right areas. How it's presented, how it's designed, and it just you create atmosphere and listen to what the client is wanting, and then, and as we're getting through with these new pin.
Oh, he froze on us. Pause there for a little bit, Brian. I think the storm is coming in. Storm might have
And
affected. There
just
he is.
things like that.
We have you, Brian. Oh, there you go. You're back again. You kind of paused there for a second. I don't know if you can still hear me or not. So I'm just going to talk for a second. So so basically, when you talked about the the possibilities, I think what you really the crux of that is that you need that the design is very important, and you help with the design. Um, my heart goes out to you though, because while I and people in the industry know how important it is, I think it's something that is you got to convince the couple that they need it. The picture, the Pinterest board, I think you're doing the right thing, but like coming to someone and going, okay, I need lighting, help me out. That's, it would kind of, if let's say you want cupcakes and you go to a person that does cupcakes. If there may be a delicious cupcake that you never go to because you never knew you wanted cupcakes. And I wish people knew everything that you did. Actually, that's why we're doing this, is so people can know what you do. But it's just, I guess what I'm saying is you can go to BLC and talk about design and then walk away and go, it's just not for me. But don't not hear the experience that can be created. You know what I mean? Because you look at a place like the Grand Hall and you're like, and we had a friend of ours that got married there, and you and I worked together, and he was like, Grand Hall is beautiful. It's already a beautiful venue. And I'm like, I know, but you have no idea what Brian can do. So you need to go talk to Brian, because he can make it even better. And I think I hate that people miss out on that opportunity to hear what can be when they think that they don't need it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's why we really been pushing these before and after photos, because someone say, oh, the venue's beautiful. It's like, yes, it is, but this is what the venue could not be for everyone. But there are a lot of options that, until people see that before and after, they wouldn't even have a clue it's even possible.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to break this down one level deeper, and then that's it. I promise we're not going to go any deeper than this, but I think it's important. So I kind of made some notes in here as you were talking, and the you talked about different lights, about DJs have different lights and you have different lights, and there's different lights out there, and there's incandescent, LED, and you and I know that there is RGB, RGBW, RGBAW, RGBAW, UV, and that's all just alphabet soup to some people, but it's important because it's important when it comes down to how bright the light is and what the color temperature of the light is and how it looks on the wall and how you're matching it with other lights. And so tell me about the lights that you have, how those lights are different from lights that I would go to Guitar Center and buy. What makes a lighting company in comparison to, I'll throw up some uplights on that wall.
Yeah. So we have like I said, we've got a couple uplights of different styles. One of our most popular ones is actually a Chauvet DJ Freedom Par, which is a pretty rock solid unit. The difference between that and, yes, it's a DJ light. The majority of these lights are actually made in China. There's no secret to that. But the difference between what we have and someone just buying something off Amazon or something like that, we actually make sure all of our lights are the same color temperature. So every time we get a new order of uplights, actually before they leave the shop to go to an event, Grand Hall for their uplighting uses 24 lights in the main room. Even though we use those same lights all on in the same color, put them in a row up on the wall to make sure that they are all the same, because you can buy, an uplight can be anywhere from a cheap one can be, $45 that's really bright, and then a high-end one could be a couple $100. But if you buy a case of things of uplights off of eBay and you turn them all to blue and you put them all in a row, you're going to see that the colors are not necessarily the same, just because the LED chip inside might be a little different. So we make sure we look at the quality of what the light is and make sure it needs to be there, because and the other thing is we make sure our uplighting is set out appropriately. Grand has certain spots that we have been allowed to create custom plates to put the lights on top. Others are not allowed to do, but any venue that we're on the ground, we always make sure are evenly spaced. The Arcade did their kind of grand opening event preview last week, and we uplit some pipe and drape for it, and we actually had our uplighting. We put a tape measure out, and the uplights were every 5 feet to create the exact pattern that we were looking for, and everything, like the beams were all uniformed. And that's something that we focus on, where you can get uplighting from a DJ or from a venue, and not that they're bad at what they do or anything like that. That's not their specialty. And you get 10 uplights when 20 uplights should have been what is needed, and the spacing is at every 15 feet. Oh, I got uplighting. That's cool, but it just doesn't look good. It doesn't make the room look good, and you don't have that color that you would normally have.
So I just wanted to show a picture of the spacing and the uplight, because it is a pet peeve of mine when things are not spaced. And unfortunately, we do events without BLC. It's not for lack of recommendation, but unfortunately, it happens sometimes. And when we come in and another company has done the lighting and it's just haphazardly thrown up, or if it's like, it's so annoying to me, again, because I know what is possible. And I don't even know. It's one of those things like when you hear a buzz, like when you're in a restaurant or something like that, and you hear a buzz and nobody recognizes it until someone goes, "Is there a buzz?" And then everyone's like, "Yeah, there's a buzz. That's weird." And then it's like paramount, and it's like right in your face. That's how I feel lighting is about. I think some people would not recognize it, but when you recognize it, you cannot turn it off. And and I'm the only person that recognizes it. So I mean, I know some people I know guests look at it and go, "That light's off to the left, and that light's off to." I mean, I know several people that have those tendencies to be able to, if it's not symmetric, get annoyed. So I appreciate that more than I can tell you. So you talked about the lights, the color temperatures and stuff, and the chips. What about the throw? What about the brightness? I mean, that's a big thing, right? I mean, you can buy an uplight from a local parts store. I don't want to say names because they have good stuff too. I don't want to, you know, but you can buy a light there that doesn't have the same throw, doesn't have the same battery life, that has a whine or a buzz in it, that has a low flicker rate. There's a lot of things that goes into purchasing the light that is correct and putting it up, and that shows in the end.
Yeah, our go-to are those Freedom Pars because they are battery powered. They're LED. We've tried to convert conventional fixtures for concerts and theatrical performances, and some as well. But when it comes to uplighting, if the light, we have tried to get away from conventional fixtures altogether. We have LED because you know, you've got some kids running around the wedding, you know, their hand on that the color temperature look for what we are going for. Most of the LEDs have, you know, 60 some presets, and oh, I want a purple. Okay, click, 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 purple, but that's not the right purple. So there are some times that we have to, you know, figure out the right way to get the look we're going for. And for example, this is just a little piece of in a theater fixture. There have been times that we will dial in an LED fixture, but it's not the right look we're looking to. Put a piece of gel over the LED fixture, even though it has full color capabilities, it doesn't have that right look. And that's one of the things we really strive for is what is the right look, what is the right design. Anyone can just flip through colors, like, okay, well, you know, the red, green, blue, amber. We've got Freedom Par quads and Freedom. We've got more hexes, but we do have a handful, and a quad does not have a white LED in it. So your LED is literally all the lights on, and it gives you more of a bluish purple instead of a pure white. And you know, sometimes that might be okay with some, but they want more of that pure white or more of that incandescent look. And for those times that we can't get the gel in front of it to for it.
And knowing that is the reason that you go with a lighting company, because you had mentioned earlier that there are a couple of venues that have their own lighting, and I can think of a venue that I was at that has their own lighting, and they just have them all on, but they're just RGB, so it's a very like off. I mean, you would think it would be, you know, like white. I think they think it's white, but it's not white. It's not white. It's not soft white. It's this like reddish. Yeah, I don't even know what it is, but it's not. It does not look good. So,
well, and the manuals say, "Oh, well, this is the color." And it's like, well, when you bought the lights, it was told you were told that, but when you actually see it, it doesn't look good. And even LEDs that have a pure white or a warm white might not look good in certain situations. Like at Grand Hall, you've got all that marble, or at Memorial Hall downtown, you've got a lot of that marble, and the architecture that is more of the sandstone look instead of a pure wallpaper wall or anything like that would take the light better than anything else. And that's when we have to get creative so we can get the right look on those walls.
So let's move over to the technical side of pin lighting. So pin lighting, obviously, and I think you know, we've always been taught, and I think it's right, that the client just wants to know what the end result is, and that's where these pictures and stuff come from. So, and we're going to be showing more of these pictures as we talk about things. But what's the technology behind pin lights? You know, when it comes to what you can have and what you should have, highlighting tables and things like that.
Yeah, so there are a handful of different pin lights. Now that they're battery powered and magnetic, it's really easy to put them in different areas. You don't have to run power cables. You don't have to worry about heat. But before that, it was plug-in pin spots, and we still use the pin spots that we plug in. There's some larger tent events or multi-day events that we actually have rigging bars that we have multiple pin spots on it that we hang up in the ceilings or in a tent. So we don't have to consistently go up, take the lights down, charge them overnight for the next day. Or if we've got an event that has a couple days of rehearsals and testing and things like that, we don't want to have to keep going up in lifts and switching those out. But the one thing that I really focus on with pin spots or table spots is the look of it. We've run into some photos of companies and either whether they're lighting companies or DJs or venues or whoever it is will have a pin spot, and a pin spot is exactly what it sounds like. It's a pin. It's a tiny little circle that lights up only a certain amount of size. So if you have a giant centerpiece from a floral company and you have a pin spot that only has a certain degree of projection and you're not far enough, you're literally just getting a circle on part of the centerpiece. And that doesn't look good for the look of the wedding. It doesn't look good for the florist because you're not seeing the whole flower arrangement. And the other thing that we really focus on is we focus on the centerpiece and the angle of it so it lights up the centerpiece, but we actually widen out a little bit more so it also lights up the table. Because the other part of pin spotting is you can light up the tables and the pin spots and have the rest of the room completely dark. And you have this nice intimate setting where you've got your friends around you at your table. You might have some nice uplighting or bistro lighting above you, and the focal point is your table. You can look across the table. You're glowing. The friend across from you is glowing. You can see your food. You can see the beautiful centerpiece, and then you can look across the room and see all these other tables just glowing. And that's what we focus on, where it's not just the centerpiece. We make sure that the table glows as well. There are also situations that we don't use our fuel battery powered lights, which have been a great success for us over the years. There are times that if we're in a larger venue, we might have to use, a Source 4 or another LECO style light to really get the bright light for like at Nutter Center or McClin Gym. If we're up on the concourse level, having to shine down on an auction table or something like that, the fuel lights are great, but they're not going to shoot 90 feet. Or they will, but it won't be bright enough. So we also take in consideration what the room requirements are and what makes the most sense. And like I said, like some of the tents, which I think there might be one of the photos in there of when we have a 4-foot bar with 6 pin spots on it. It's high enough up that from that one angle, I can hit these 6 tables. It's at the right angle. I just plug them in. I don't have to worry about going up and charging them each time.
We actually kind of we did a video, like an impromptu video at Grand Hall one time. We were talking about pen lighting and things like that, and I remember complimenting you on where you put the pen lighting in comparison to what you were trying to highlight and how it was kind of out of the way. So that's just again, there's a topic that I want to talk about here in a second. It's about setups. It's about what setups look like. It's about we see pictures, but I don't think we really realize how much goes into that, how much equipment is around. So the pen lighting is something I think you guys do a fantastic job of keeping out of the way while having it also do what it's supposed to do, which is highlight the tables.
Yeah, and actually at Grand Hall, we are able to do pin spotting. At that one event that we had, we were lighting up, I think, a flower arrangement on the balcony, and we disguised the lights up on the windowsills of the large windows on the sides. We've actually had a couple weddings there that we've done full pin spotting of all of the tables, and we've worked with Grand Hall and Liberty Tower since the opening, and they've worked with us, and the reason why we become their go-to lighting provider is we worked with them, gave them some options, told them what we think should happen, and that's why we were able to put the lighting on top of the sconces. That's why we're allowed to go up on top of the elevator lobby. But we worked with their maintenance department, and we actually created custom brackets that are up in the if you look up the ceiling at Grand Hall, you've got those big air vents up there, and you have to look really close to see them. But we've got these low profile brackets that are actually attached to those air vents. So whenever we have a wedding in there or an event that needs pin spotting, we just have to bring in a lift. We go up and we have them in, I believe, 6 different areas. And out of those 6 different areas, we figured that would be the area that can hit any event that would need pin spotting, and we always have the option of adding more if we need to. But they let us leave them up there because they're accustomed to that venue, and that they disguise really nicely. And the reason why we had to put those up there is those air vents, believe it or not, are not magnetic. They're aluminum. So I thought that they would have been some type of steel, being how old the building is. But when we went up there for the first time, tried to put the light up there, it's like, no, that's not going to work. So we created brackets of that, and for the most part, people will come in and see the tables lit up and look up, and it's just a little tiny circle. They would have no idea that that's where it comes from.
And so what's the alternative? Well, let's use Grand Hall as an example. Let's say that you don't have a lighting company, and Joe Schmo is bringing in lights, and that's 2 pin lights. What's the alternative, and what's that look like? Because you know it, I know it. Let's talk about it.
Well, this goes back to the professionalism, if you will. If BLC goes into a venue that we cannot do pin spotting properly, we will not do it. We will tell them, we will show them pictures that I don't have any on me right now, but we have photos. We've blocked out other companies' logos from across the state that we've seen online of pin spotting, and we can see where the pin spotting is coming from and what it looks like on the tables. And we show those photos and say, this might not necessarily be a competitor of ours, but not doing this properly, this is what the result is. We will never put a C-stand or a tripod stand that we can get 12 feet in the air off to the side so we can do pin spots in a big room. That's something that we will not do. But that is the solution that some people come up with, is doing some stands. Now, we have done stands at places that we have, a balcony where we're up 2 or 3 floors, and we have those angles. We do that, but we will never do anything ground supported for pin spotting tables.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. All right, you were dancing around it a little bit, like it's a stand smack dab in the middle of the floor it's a really, really tall stand that has a bunch of arms off of it that pin spots go on that shine down. So I know you didn't want to say it, but I'm going to say it for you because it's ugly and it shouldn't be done. Well, I don't want to say it shouldn't be done. It's okay to do if the client is aware of what it's going to look like. But I think that, and this is a picture that you could talk about. I think people see these pictures and they go, I want my wedding to look like that. And then they go to someone who is not a professional. And while a picture will look like that, off to the side, off to the left, behind one of those pillars is a big, ugly tree stand. So we were talking about how many pin lights you did at this one.
So this one has between 72 or 76 tables in here, and we actually pin spotted every single one of them. And Sean, if you want to, I don't know if you can zoom in or put your mouse up at the one of the pillars up there. So up there, you can see those brackets up there are what I was saying, where we have these rigging bars with 6 pin spots per. And what we did is we got up to the top of these pillars and strapped these, right there, these brackets of pin spots on each of the 8 pillars that are in these rooms. And we hit all of the tables off of those, and the angles and the height of where we were at hit every single centerpiece and did every glow on this. And you were talking about stands. If you can zoom out a little bit. We do have some stands in here, and actually you can kind of, right there. So there's a C-stand with a gobo light right there. This was a corporate fundraiser, a fundraiser type event, and we actually did gobo projections for all the corporate sponsors that were in here. So we have some low profile stands off to the sides that are actually shooting clear across the room. And the reason why We went with the stand on that side instead of trying to put another bracket up on one of these pillars. Is we wanted the angle to be just right. So shooting directly across the room, you have where the light is, you're not getting a weird keystone look or anything like that. And the other thing is when you have 76 pin spots and 14 custom gobos, a handful of uplights, and not to mention an audiovisual company had a whole bunch of TV speakers, you kind of run low on power. Now the uplighting in here was LED, but everything else was not. This was actually before we got our LED LECO lights. So we have all of these lights at 575 watts, and we're projecting 14 or 15 of these around the room. Not many venues have 15 circuits you can play with.
And again, you just kind of glazed over that, but you know, when you talk about the 575 watts, which I don't know if a client really cares or not, but the heat that comes off of those things, I mean, I'm sure the LEDs are still a little hot, but nothing compared to those. I mean, they were a fire hazard if I've ever seen one, especially when you have them on the floor on C-stands. But you still did a fantastic job with making sure that they weren't smack dab in the middle, because the monograms and things like that can also be right in the middle. I mean, I remember a picture from Country Club of the North back in the day that was used a lot. Of people like, oh, I really want this. I want this to be what my venue looks like. But if you really zoomed in and looked, there were 4 or 5 different C-stands or tripod stands. I'm not sure remember which one they were, like right around the dance floor. And I've seen people with, you know, had a monogram on the dance floor at Manor House. Actually, I can remember where we came into DJ and there was a monogram on the dance floor, but there was a C-stand literally right on the corner of the dance floor. And so if you took a picture of it, it was like, oh, this is beautiful. But if you actually zoomed out or you were there, it wasn't. No. It wasn't worth it.
No, not at all. And I've seen a few of those photos, and I've actually been to a venue that it was there, and they're like, and that's one of those. If it's not possible, I'm not going to sell you something that will make you upset halfway through the event, or when you get to your wedding and see, wow, there's a stand here. Why is this here? It's like, oh, well, you wanted a monogram. This is the only way we can do this. Like that's why we look, like if the pin spotting is not possible because of what your venue is, or if a monogram on the dance floor is not possible, let's look at some other options. Actually, TJ, one of your guys at Grand Hall, we looked at doing the monogram on the dance floor at Grand Hall, but it had that weird look. The floor was shiny, so we ended up finding a way to project it right behind the head table up on their platform, and it looked great. Everyone could see it. The other interesting, or other part about projecting a monogram on a dance floor, it looks great when you walk in and no one's on the dance floor. It might be great for photos when you're doing your first dance, but once the dance floor gets filled up, that monogram disappears. And if you've got a good party and you're dancing the entire time, you know, you lose that effect. But if it's behind the head table or on the pipe and drape or somewhere in the room that has a good look, your guests get to enjoy that the entire night.
So I brought this picture up because it's an example of monograms also, but I want to talk about also the size of the monograms being appropriate for where you're shooting them onto. And I think that is something that is also understated a lot. And I just, you know, we go to events. You said that you had a picture of, you know, some of it not done correctly. And I have taken a picture before and like really, really wanted to post it, but I thought, no, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the one who talks about negative stuff, but it's hard to talk about the good stuff if you don't compare it to anything. And I think that's a difficult time. So I have seen monograms that were way too large.
Yeah.
for the floor or for the wall that they were shooting them on, or way too small. So when you talk about, you know, the proper placement, lenses, location, that's all in design, right?
Yeah. So what we do, and I've got a monogram here, and it's kind of hard to see, but this is actually a Carillon Park one. And what we do is for any of the custom ones, because we size it up before it gets cut. So this is right here, this size here. So what we did for that the Dayton Children's event, let's see. If you can pull that photo back up.
Oh, boom.
So what we did with both the Dayton Children's full color glass logo and the Fly Gobo, we went into that space for many walkthroughs, and we actually did a laser measurement of where that light was going to be, and then we measured what the wall surface was. For both of those, I believe they were both 19-degree lenses, which we've got 10, 19, 26, 36, 50, and 90-degree lenses for different applications. But what we did is we knew that whether a 10 or a 19-degree would be the best fit for that. And actually, we sized it a little. We were pretty close on the size. The top of the F in Fly is spilling out a little bit on the glass a little bit. And what we did was we measured out the surface and did we have a calculator generator that tells us what your image size is, how far it needs to be, what lens would be the perfect size. And then we actually made this image on a gobo a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger based on that. And we don't necessarily do that for every event, but like if we've got a wall that we know it's going to fit on, it's going to be within 6 feet to 6.8 feet of a size, we know we'll be fine. But places that we only have a certain area to project in, we actually get really creative with the design of the gobo and scale it down to project in the right spot.
But these things ahead of time, and just to give people a little bit of clarification on what we have, what a DJ has compared to what a lighting company has. We have I think 3 different degrees, and when it comes to how we measure it, we definitely don't do any laser measuring. I mean, it's one of those things where we go, yeah, that's about right. So I mean, the outcome that we have, and this is something where if it's a big open wall like this, we may go, yeah, we can do it as a DJ. But if it's something like the previous picture with children's, it's something that we would recommend a lighting company for, but we would recommend BLC for when it comes to making sure that it is right and making sure that those minor adjustments can be done, because you're looking at this the entire time. So if it ain't right, it doesn't look right.
Exactly.
So with, and I don't think people know that it's kind of the same fixture, but let's transition over into the template washes, because it is most of the time the same fixture that we use for gobos, but it's obviously done different. So tell me about template washes and how they're designed and what they're used for.
Yeah, so the template washes, for the most part, are the same. At least with us, are the same fixture that we use. We have an inventory of Source 4s, and we actually have an inventory of Chauvet Ovation, the 260 WWs. That's the LED version of them, and it's all about the different barrel size. For this one here, we actually did Source 4s, and we actually projected this, I believe, with 36 or 50 degrees, and actually I think we had 2 different ones. The far side of the room where the fixtures had to be, we had to do a smaller barrel to get it pretty close to the same size. But because the way this room was set up, this is actually the Apollo room out at Wright State University in the Student Union. We only did the projection on 2 of the walls because the opposite wall had a curtain that had just the Wright State logo projected on it, and then the other wall was where the stage and the video screens were. So this was for an awards banquet, or I believe it was awards banquet, and they wanted something. They wanted to take out the fact that they're in a multi-purpose room, and it looks like a conference room. So what we did with this was create that kind of summer fun evening feel. We actually used pin spotting for this, which we made brackets for the pin spots, and I believe we had 8 pin spots per bracket based on the tables in here, and we hung them right to the ceiling, ran power up there, because I believe this was a 2-day style event, or we had a test on 1 day so the school could see what it looks like, make any changes. So we didn't want to go up with battery powered lights and have to change them out. But it's all about the way it's shuttered and the size of the barrel. As you can see, like where the clock is, where the pipe and drape is, we make sure we shutter it off at the right spot. We don't want the lights to just, when you project a gobo or an image, it's literally a circle. And in that circle, you will have this tree pattern or a solar system pattern or stars or whatever it is, but it will spill off into every area. And with the shutters on these lights, you can actually cut down where the light is being projected. And that's what we do with the ceiling washes, whether it's Grand Hall or here. There are some areas that letting the template wash just flood out makes perfect sense. But in areas that you've got a wall here or you've got your ceiling, you want it to look perfect and you want that image to be just in that one area.
Trying to find that Grand Hall picture you were talking about, because boom. That's just, I mean, when you walk into the Grand Hall with the ceiling texture, it's just it's amazing.
Yeah, and this was actually for the ribbon cutting or the grand opening of it. This one we actually had the ceiling template on the ceiling, balcony or mezzanine uplighting, and then we actually did a color wash on the walls instead of uplighting for this one, where it's just we can pick a different color and project the color on the wall. But the uplighting and the ceiling template in that yellowish gold has been by far the most popular option there. We've done a few other patterns on the wall. During the COVID shutdowns, we got creative, and that's when we created the Bistro lighting. We brought our box of gobos over there and tested to see what images. I should have sent you some of those. We've got them on a file somewhere, but we basically just tested different patterns on the wall. Actually, for the Liberty Tower Christmas party in 2019, I think. Yeah, in 19, we did a color wash of a purplish color on the wall. We actually put lights on the outside of those windows, which is very fun and creative, because we actually have to crawl through a window to get to it, and it's only about this big. And then we also put uplighting in the room as well with their Christmas party, but we only did it where the windows are. So you had a color wash, and then you had an accent color that popped the walls around the windows, the big rectangle windows. And then the opposite side where this photo was taken, we actually projected snowflake patterns on the walls to give it kind of that holiday feel.
I looked at this picture, and I think I don't think people know this or not, but the color temperature of those chandeliers,
yep,
are like bright white.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have BLC, and it's not a knock on the Grand Hall at all. It's just that the venues don't think about this. Venues don't think about what it will look like as the night starts to progress, and they don't think. I mean, they have dimmers on them, so that's kind of cool. And they have like 3 different selections on them that you could do, so you can light the ceiling, or shine towards the ground, or so there are options. But how many venues have we went into and looked up and seen like 2 different lights, 2 different color temperatures on 2 different lights that were in the ceiling? And you think about well, it looks fine now because I'm touring it in the daytime, and it would look, but you don't realize how impactful that is at night. And so having every light coordinated to be able to create the environment, I mean, it helps dancing. I'm not gonna lie, it helps dancing because nobody wants the alien autopsy lights on when they're ready to dance. So there's a couple more pictures in here that show like ceiling washes and stuff like that. I'm trying to find them, but how do you choose a pattern for that, or is it just something that you texture as far as you tell the client like here is something that is an obvious texture, but the previous picture that we saw, I don't even know if you could tell what texture that is. Is it the woodland? Is it because I've looked at gobos myself, and they have very creative names for things. It's kind of like crayons.
Yeah.
No, that's not purple. That's sunrise on the. So how do people decide?
So what we're actually with the Pinterest boards, we're in the process of updating and adding to our website, and we are actually creating categories of what we're doing is like the creative ways that Apollo and Roscoe will say, oh, this is a tree, but it's this is the title. We're going to use creative terms, whether it's tree or foliage or something like that, foliage that and then you click on that and you can see all the options that we have of that pattern. And then we're working on doing them in different venues too. So the venues that whether we're in-house at or we're the preferred lighting vendor there, we're working on getting photos in those venues because like with Dayton Art, the Carillon properties, Masonic, Grand Hall, Schuster Center, since we are a preferred vendor in those places and the lighting does make a big difference, and we are allowed to do certain lighting that other preferred vendors might only be able to do up lighting or things that they can't go up or hang things in certain areas. We make sure that we are available. We could have 100 other events going on, but if someone wants to get married at Grand Hall, everything we offer is always available for them because that is one of the venues that we are in-house at, if you will. So we're trying to create those images of these are some of the most common options that you have. And actually during the COVID shutdown, we got creative, and this is actually a nebula template, full color solar system style. And it's actually a glass gobo, which I have right here, which is a really neat look. And actually the photo doesn't do justice. Once you're in there and you look up, it's a neat look mixed with the blue uplighting. You just get a blue wall wash would look great on this as well, just because it ties it all together. And we haven't played around with it yet, but it looks great on the ceiling. It actually looks really good on the walls too. We have not done both the ceiling and the walls together in this. So this one's kind of an out of the box option of that. It's dining under the stars, but it's like really dining in space because it's not really stars. Like you're under the solar system right now.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I want to show it to my son because he'll be like, "Can I have that for my room?" And well, we have. Call Brian. That's where I get them from. Here's one that's. I think you did a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So this was this was creative, and actually, I think we were just having fun with different images, and it turned out to be a great image. This is actually the admin office at the Kroc Center, which used to be the mansion on the property. And this was for we were getting ready for their grand illumination for their Christmas tree. We used to handle their holiday events out there. And one of them was a light show on the building. And we had moving lights. We had different static patterns. This was just one of the ones that we just happened to be at when we took the picture, but it was one of those interact with the windows were glowing. It was probably to a Trans-Siberian song or something, but it's creative that you can take an architecture place like this or what we've done before they got a permanent install it at Dayton Art for Oktoberfest Art Ball. It's just you don't think about projecting things on a bill. You don't think about seeing it every day, but it can add a lot. Like there's a courtyard outside this building, and even without a pattern, if we blast this building in color, it makes it pop. It brings it to life in a different way.
Speaking of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I just want to let everybody know the hell that we go through as lighting people when we go to these things, because I don't know about you, but I can't focus a lot on the entertainment because I'm too busy going, how they do that? Where's that light at? Have you seen the mover that they have at the Trans-Siberian Orchestra? It's like the size of a car. They have like 3 or 4 of them in the back that when it's
a few more than I work with the stagehand, so I've actually worked the show. I think I worked Spotlight a few times with them, and I've actually loaded in the shows multiple times. And the amount of lighting that goes into that show, and Brian Hartley, who I've met several times, is the designer for Trans-Siberian. He designed for Kiss. He very talented, and even the older designs that he had before LED became just flashy, and all these video walls came out, taking 100 moving lights and having them all sweep through the audience and end on one person at the end is just, it's incredible. And there's a lot of programming and design that you and I look like, oh, that's neat, how'd that happen? Everyone else is just screaming because it's a good performance.
We were also it was like the Rockettes, I think, that we were at. I can't remember exactly, but my daughter was like enamored by, because they were like sitting in front, and behind them, like the trees and everything were going like they were in a sleigh, and I'm going, okay, is that rear projection or is it an LED wall? I don't think it's an LED wall because it doesn't have the pixels and I don't see, so it must be rear projection. So
that was several years ago, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So that was an LED wall, and it was a 90-foot LED wall.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, I love it. I love that people don't realize that it's so integrated now. It's so, the Masked Singer, she watches the Masked Singer all the time, and all of all the stage lights that go into each one of those presentations is just phenomenal. People don't even recognize it anymore. And I go, I wonder how long it took to program just that song, just that song that is done and out.
Yeah.
So this is one more example of texturing with the gobo and some uplights. And so I wanted to show this picture because sometimes we see the lighting and it's overwhelming a little bit for some people. They're like, oh, I don't want blue. I want more elegant. I want more. And this is an example of the elegance of lighting that accents the room, but doesn't overpower it. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot going on in here. We've got packages at the Dayton Art Institute. In this photo, we have a floor template wash where the dance floor is. We have the pillar uplighting, which you only see the one pillar, and then you see some uplighting in the room as well. Behind you, you've got the two to the left of the photo, and then to the left of the pillar is the arch leading out to the Great Hall, and that is our architecture lighting or architecture uplighting. And what we do at Grand Hall with the architecture uplighting, it's not we're just throwing some uplighting around the room on the brick. We have it on the brick too, and it makes the room pop, but we also make sure we hit the architecture beauties of the room, whether it's the doorway leading up to Great Hall. I don't know if I had any other photos in there of the Gothic, but there are the three doors that are typically where the cake is, and then the arches by those three doors we light up, and then where the chapel is and that whole area there, we make sure we really highlight that area to bring out the architecture beauty of it. And then on top of that, we also had pin spotting in here as well, which is why the tops of those flowers are really glowing.
Yep. It's all subtle, but it's all there. And if it was not there, it would be either darkness behind them, like complete, black darkness, or, and this again, this is not a knock on the Dayton Art Institute. It's not a knock on any place that has lights, because they're just not, designed for events, especially the creative, moving events that you do, as far as, each design being different. But they just wash the whole wall.
Yeah, they've got wall washers in there, and understanding that any museum did not necessarily start out with, oh, this is going to be an event space. I believe this was actually an outdoor space when it was first created, and then it's been used for other things. And then a lot of schools, museums, convention center type things had, over the years, Dayton Power or someone, here's a grant, you have to switch all of your lights to LED. Great. They're brighter than bright, and they wash out everything. So there's track lighting in here too, and Donna and the other coordinators over there hate using them because there's no dimmer on it. They're either on or off, and it makes it look like it's daylight in there. So a lot of times they'll turn on one of the wall wash lights around the bar just for a safety aspect of it, but it's a complete different, like it almost looks like it's the end of the night, we're turning on the lights, everyone got to get out. And some people like the look of just the walls lit up, but with this one, you really have the darkness of the room, but then the specialty areas are highlighted, the dance floor is lit up, the floral arrangements, tables, and then you've got the architecture popping as well. And actually, with this template here, is actually, it's like a rice pattern template, and that's why you can kind of see the pattern a little bit on the sides of it, but it's blurred out, and it kind of creates that pattern that we have in the center, and it's blurred out in the center, and then it kind of gradually gets out to the end. None of it is directly in focus, but if it was fully in focus, it would be very harsh lines, very harsh sides of where the little rice pattern look is. And a lot of times what we can do with this one is we can put gel in it to change the color. And we sometimes will put a split gel in it where it's like, there is a gel in here. It's a kind of a warm white amber look to it to give that look. And the cork floor in here is a really nice floor that brings out that color as well. But if we're on a floor like the Schuster Center or Masonic that has the actually a Memorial Hall too, where you can get away with putting a color on it, maybe not for a wedding, but you can have those two different colors or one color really bring out the look of the floor as well.
And also, I think it's worth noting, people say like, oh no, I like the whole wall, I like to see the whole room, this, that, and other. This is the evening. Most especially in the Gothic, the skylight there lets light in. So it's something that you get to experience both.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's a Grand Hall and Dayton Art. With the Grand Hall has the big windows in the front and some on the sides. You've got your entire ceiling as a glass ceiling in this room. And what's nice about it is it's not like we come in and flip a switch and magically all the lights just turn on. It's a gradual transition into it, and as the sun is setting, the lights slowly start to appear, and your eyes get adjusted to it. And depending on the time of year, by the time dinner's finishing up, dancing is starting, you're in full party mode, the sunset, and you're adjusted to what the room looks like.
So speaking of adjusted to what the rooms looks like in glass ceilings, this one was coming, everyone. Boom. The arcade. So we just had a great opening for the arcade. Brian did his thing. This is what it would look like at night. The daytime looks completely different, but it would slowly transform, drink into this.
Yeah. Yeah, so the arcade, it's an amazing space, and we actually we're fortunate enough to get in with Cross Street Partners and Kevin with Culture Works, who runs the events over there. But during construction in 2019, I think, we actually did one of their Megan, who works with Cross Street. Her wedding was at Grand Hall, which actually had pin spotting. And we met with them and pitched an idea of, hey, this room can really use some lighting. And it was completely under construction. The second floor windows weren't there. The third floor windows were kind of frosted. And we went in there with hard hats and a whole bunch of lighting equipment and lit up the entire building for their holiday get-together photo shoot. And then we've been friends with them ever since. There's actually a lot going on in here. What we can do in this room here is, well, we can back up. In the other photo, you saw a big circle truss up in the ceiling, and that medallion lit up. And the building has built-in lighting. Scenic Solutions, a local company, did an amazing job permanently installing lighting. So the turkeys have lights all on them. There's a big ring of truss and lights that are shining up on that medallion. That's all built in and has a handful of flexible options. But a lot of that lighting as of right now is, it lights up the floor. It has effects on the floor. So what we did for this open house, if you can kind of see on the railing of the second floor, I'm pointing at the screen like you're going to be able to see what I'm pointing at.
Right there.
Yeah. So you see these little lights that are on, down one more. Go down. So right on the second floor railing, you can see the glow of light fixtures. And what we did is we temporarily mounted a light fixture on the, yeah, right there, around it to shine up towards the third floor and the glass ceiling. And we actually put 16 fixtures up there, and that was it. We were able to glow the entire look, and it is actually an option for weddings and events there. We've actually gotten permission to put control cable, hide it up in the railing up there where it won't be seen by anyone. And then when we go in for a wedding or an event and someone wants the ceiling lit up or the walls lit up in a certain color, we come in, clamp the lights on there, plug them all into the control cable, log into our controller, and we can change the room to look whatever it is. We also have options of some uplighting in there. The room does have some sconces in here that do have color changing capabilities. They're nice lights, but they're not very bright. That they look nice, but if you want more of a punchy look to it, or you want more of a bright look from the ground up, we can enhance those sconces by adding uplights at the base of that, and we can actually put them around all of the pillars so it glows it all the way. We also have some pin spotting options we have not played around with yet, but the railings are magnetic, and it all is about the angle of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to test some angles and figure out exactly what's possible. The ideal situation is we can get up to the railing on the third floor, and that would be high enough. The reality is we might not be able to do that because they don't have a lift there, with the floor, with there being a big room underneath that floor. We're not sure what possibilities of bringing lifts are in, or how feasible it is bringing the lift in. So we are playing around with some of that, but there are definitely a lot of options in that room, and it's the newest venue, and it's beautiful.
You talked about the sconces and the lights in the sconces, and it's again they did a lot, but you would never have the control from those sconces that you would have if BLC did your lighting, as far as the colors, the matching, the punch. So it's a great option, but just understand that there's limitations to any house lighting, even house lighting like this. There are limitations. So you were playing around with all the lights and stuff, even at the ring, and there's some great options up there, but accenting those options with BLC is, I think, a must when it comes to truly controlling the room and truly having what you want as far as the look and the feel.
Yeah, and that's what our goal is. Like we don't want to tell someone, you don't want that lighting. It has a lot of options. We're looking at how do we enhance what's already there. It's a fancier version, but it's basically, you've got a dimmable chandelier or something like that. How do we? It looks beautiful. What else can we do? The one beautiful spot, that medallion in the center, really comes to life when it gets lit up, and there are lights that are on it. And like you're saying with the sconces of different options and things like that, yeah. The sconces are only on the inside. So if you want uplighting on all four sides of those pillars, because your head table is going to be under the one side on that wall, your bars, your food stations, you might want pillars lit up on all four sides.
I never thought about that. You know what? That you should be a lighting person. Just saying.
Yeah.
You should do lighting because you think of everything.
I was thinking about becoming a DJ too, See, I think we might stick with lighting though.
Oh no, you should totally be a DJ. We get to listen to all the cool stuff. Everybody loves us.
Yeah, you just hit play on an iPad, right?
Yeah, most of the time. Only if it has auto mix on it. So we didn't talk about Bistro Lights, and I think we at least need to talk about it real quickly, because the Bistro Lights are a hot item in any venue. So tell me about the Bistro Lights.
Bistro lights are a great way that you can, it serves two purposes. You have a nice decor aspect to it that might tie the room together, or gives you that feel of a garden feel, or that festoon look. But then it also has a practical sense, for the most part. If I had at Grand Hall, where this is 4 out of the 8 strands that we have, we actually created an addition to it. You don't have to have all 8 of them at Grand Hall. You can have the ones over this dining area, or the ones over the bank to the lobby area, which is a little bit shorter because of where the room is. But all of those Bistro lights in there with all the other lights on, actually provide a nice glow in the room where you wouldn't even need the chandeliers on. Same with the Dayton Art Institute. We have a Bistro Light package over there that really lights up the room. Is it as bright as you'd like? Maybe not, but as a safety aspect, if you had no other lights in there, it would definitely light up the room. Oh, the Schuster Center. This was actually a custom creation too for well, it was the DPAA gala had us put this together, and then someone on the board of the gala, her daughter's wedding was at Schuster Center the following year, and that was utilized for that too. This is a neat look because it's so different. You've got this 4-story, I think it's 4 stories, glass wall lobby atrium of the Schuster Center, and you've got palm trees in it, and you know, you can do uplighting, you can do template washes on the floor and on the glass. But having Bistro Lights in a space like this at the appropriate height, and that's the other thing, we got these high enough up where it wasn't so low you're like, wow, this is cool, but it's kind of lame. But it wasn't too high where you lose the effect that you're not in the space, you're not getting that glow. But with this one, mixed with the glass ceiling and the fact that you have palm trees in there, it's almost like an out of the box feel. But it's neat because you're in Dayton, Ohio, at the Schuster Center, and you kind of have this tropical feel, even though you don't have that. The palm trees mixed with the Bistro Lights kind of give you that feel, but it works for any elegant event.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that it just works, because it just works, and that's, if you were to tell somebody this without showing them this picture, they would be like, "What?" So I'm in a contemporary place with palm trees and Bistro Lights that go across.
Yeah.
But when you look at this picture, like, no, it seriously does work. I mean, and it's all coordinated. I think that's important too. You know, you have the color temperatures are all the same as far as the candles, the Bistro Lights match, and then you have the color color in the back with the blue and the pink. It just it works. So
now, you mentioned earlier that people might not understand what all goes into it. For example, in this photo of the Schuster Center, we've got package or design options here. We've got palm tree uplighting, Bistro Light, glass illumination, truss lighting, which it's kind of a dark photo, so you don't really see it, but the supports for the glass wall, we call them truss towers, and we actually have lighting in there as well to glow the inside of those trusses. But there's a lot going on in this photo that ties it all together. The staircase, grand staircase illumination, just the window wash alone goes clear from Ludlow Street all the way down to Main Street and turns, and goes all the way to the box office. So every section of that entire window wall is actually lit up in this for this venue, and it's roughly 50 lights shining just on the glass. We've got about 18 lights going up the staircase. You can see the individual uplights. The palm tree lights have 3 lights per palm tree. And the reason why we do that is so you've got that look hitting the spikes, if you will, of the palm tree trunks going up. Kind of similar to the pillars at Grand or at the arcade or anywhere else. I can put a light on this side, but you're going to be all the way around. You don't want to have that effect lost. So we actually make sure the entire palm tree is lit on all sides.
And just so when people look at this picture, this is why you hire a lighting expert. The type of light, the throw of the light, which is directly correlated to how bright it is, the angle of the light as far as how it shoots. Is it a narrow beam or a wide beam? How many lights will it take to cover this wall to be able to create? That's all professional lighting stuff. I mean, for as much as I know about lighting, I couldn't tell you that stuff. And I've been in this industry a long time, and I feel like I can keep up with Brian's conversations, but it's definitely not something that we do. This is why you hire a lighting expert, because the back wall back there where usually the head table, I think head table is there also, but right there where the head table is, yeah, any DJ can put lights on a back wall. Any DJ can, you know, symmetrically do that. When it comes to the design that goes into this entire, to lighting that entire no way. I mean, no way.
It looks like there's some of your DJ lights in that photo too.
I think so. I was actually looking over there on the
Yeah.
side. I didn't want to say anything. Speaking of DJs,
Because
Doug,
it was washing out the floor.
Doug from Absolute is on, and he says hello.
Oh, how's it going, Doug? I haven't talked to Doug in a long time.
I know, I miss Doug. I've often said that the wedding industry, especially the entertainment industry, is something where we don't all get along. There's just way too much ego involved in what we do. So Doug is a breath of fresh air, and so I love coordinating with Doug and talking to him about stuff. I have one more picture to show as far as bistro lighting, though, because this obviously stands out in the stuff that you sent me, and this is a design, man. This is taking bistro lighting to the next level.
Yeah, this was another one of those. A client came to us and said, "I have a vision. I don't think it's possible." Like, it's possible. And this is our 60 strand Bistro Light canopy, and it's really neat. I wish I had a picture from standing directly underneath it, looking up, but it is literally it's about 1,100 bulbs on these strands. Yeah. And the two Bistro Light options that we can customize anything, but the two ones that we have is our typical 12 strand Bistro Lights at Dayton Art, which is 12 strands around. And then we have, I hate the word bunting, but kind of like bunting swags that connect all of the arches together. So it kind of ties everything together. And then we've got this canopy design as well.
So, and you know, maybe this is, I think I just displayed my ignorance when it comes to lighting. I said this was bistro lighting and this is not bistro lighting. And I think that's an important distinction when it comes to, you know, DJs, what we do and how we coordinate with you and things like that. I would have called this bistro lighting. It is not, obviously. I can look at it now and tell that after you've explained that. But I think that's an important distinction when it comes to the line that you cross. I think we all need to, you can't be, what's the saying? Jack of all trades, master of none. I think when it comes down to it, if you try to do everything, you're not going to be able to master, you know, what you're actually supposed to be mastering. So this is kind of where we draw the line. And I think it's an important distinction when it comes to what no company can do everything. So,
yeah.
So bringing all this together, I think we saw one picture of the Schuster Center. Oh, this is, sorry, I'm like going through his pictures. So this is a picture that I think you mentioned before when you talked about architectural lighting. Then you asked about this, the Dayton Art Institute art ball.
Oh yeah. We've each art ball that we've done over the past couple of years, we've gotten creative, whether it was projected. When we first started working with the Art Institute for Art Ball and Oktoberfest, we projected just different options on the walls and really brought the building to life and provide lighting that's underneath the balcony to make that glow and project. This was so neat because there are some in the focus of it just because the lights were outside. They kind of got blown around a little bit, but this is actually 8 fixtures creating this pattern, and we tried to line it up as best as possible, create this look. And it was building itself is such a beauty, and then creating this artwork on top of it, being the art museum. It was really neat driving down 75 and seeing this whole thing just lit up like this. And then another year that we did, which I don't think I have a photo of it with me, the artwork that was chosen for the actual event, because for Art Ball, a piece of artwork is chosen as the signature piece of artwork for that night or for that event, was kind of like brush strokes. And we actually created a custom gobo of brush strokes and projected it on the side. And we opted not to do the colors with it to match it exactly, because it would have dimmed the building down too much. But it came pretty close to matching in a different form the brush strokes of the artwork of that building, and the chairs of the event that night. We're just so excited that we were able to take the artwork that they chose and take it a step further and create an image on the outside of the building that complemented the artwork.
So what would you call this if you were explaining this to a client? What creative name would you come up for this pattern?
I'll have to look to see what this pattern is, because it does have a name. We had the images and we're like, let's try this and see some type of architecture look. But it did definitely turned out well. And actually, earlier this year or over the past year, the Dayton Art Institute actually did get a permanent install of color washes on the front of the building. So I'm not sure how many more creative options we'll be doing out there with patterns for special events and stuff. But if you drive by the Art Institute, it is actually fully lit up now. And actually, Scenic Solutions that did the install over at the arcade did that install as well. So and that's what I was saying, how it's nice to go from one event to another, and it's like you have a blank canvas, create something special. We go in with a truckload of equipment on a Tuesday, set it up. The next 3 days or 4 days, we're projecting on the building. That Sunday, we take the equipment down, go to the next job. So we love permanent installs, and we can definitely enhance permanent installs. But that creativeness of going somewhere with the equipment, creating the magic, and it only being a temporary solution or a temporary option, and then maybe the next year it's a completely different design. And that's what we really enjoy with the lighting designs that we do.
So we have another see what everything is going on picture, because there's a lot going on in this picture. So go ahead and tell everybody all of the things going on in this picture.
So this picture has the Schuster Center Bistro Lights, a custom monogram or gobo projection of the logo of the event, and this was actually the Dayton the DPAA Performance Arts Alliance Gala. So we had the Bistro Lights going over the tables, and you can see the theme of the party was very red. So we had the windows all lit up in red. They had red napkins. The palm trees had an orangish red to it. We didn't want to go pure red on everything. And we actually looked at just the regular red on the palm trees, but because the palm trees have a darker look to it, more of that brown and that bark look, it didn't look right. So we played around with the colors and found the right color that would make the palm trees pop and glow. And you can see they're a little bit brighter than the rest of the red, but with just the regular red, it didn't look proper. It didn't look bright enough, and it didn't match with the rest of the room. And then you can also see the truss towers, or the green supports that hold up the building. We have uplighting in those that are in open white to give you that other look. And actually, these towers have built-in lights too that are just in white, and those are on as well. But what we did is we added high-powered LED fixtures at the ground to really make those entire towers pop.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So I think the word of the day as we go through here, we check out it's design. I mean, it's design. It's knowing what is capable, what the current technology is capable of. I think that's important because, things change. We went from incandescent to LED, and then we went from 10 millimeter LEDs to cob, which is chip on board. So it's like brighter, and the color it changes so quickly that the options change and how you will use lighting to create what you're looking for changes. So I think, a design consultation, a meeting with BLC is really where you need to go. Just don't hold yourself back and not know what is capable to talk to them, because they're so great. So if, let's say, what's the process go? Let's say I am, going to the arcade, for instance, and I'm getting married at the arcade, and what's the steps as far as meeting with BLC and going through the options?
Yeah, so what we like to do is whatever the venue is, as long as the venue's available for a meeting there, what we like to do is meet with the client in the space. And whether it's myself or Shannon, my sales manager, we go with an iPad, one of our tablets, some photos, and actually sit in the space, stand in the space, and say, okay, these are what the options are, and actually talk through the options and the different designs while we're in the space. And then a lot of times for Grand Hall, for example, since we're there all the time, and they allow us to actually have meetings with clients there in the evenings. And what we do is we'll go there with an uplight or two and with the tablet, so the client can see, okay, at 7 o'clock at night, it actually looks like this. Because if we're in there during the day or we're talking with someone on the phone, it's like, oh no, I don't need lighting. There's big windows in there. It will be fine. It ends at 10 o'clock. We don't want to spend the money on lighting. We don't need the lighting. It'll be fine. They end up finding out that they do need the lighting, because if they don't, they'll just have to turn on the chandeliers or the sconces and make it almost look like a hospital hallway. So we try and go in there and meet with them at the time that's convenient for them. Like we understand, we don't have regular office hours, so we like to be flexible. As far as the lighting and meeting about lighting, we'll meet on weekends or in the evenings, and we actually prefer that in a place like Grand Hall, and sometimes we're able to do it at Dayton Art Institute, where we can actually talk with them and they can actually see what the room looks like at the time that they would actually be needing lighting. And then once we go over those options, we put together some images and photos for them. And if it's at any of the venues that we're in-house or preferred at, they don't have to make a decision immediately. They're like, okay, I know I want uplighting, but I might want to add a ceiling template for Grand Hall, or I might want to add the vault lighting, things like that. They have time, since we do dedicate the services. We do have a cutoff time of where we need to get everything together. But even venues that we are not at all the time, like some of the hotels or things like that, we're still very flexible. We'll give you information, we'll meet with you as many times as you want, and we'll work out the design. And even once payment's made, or it's like, okay, well, I want this lighting and I want it in blue, and then a week before the wedding, I don't think I like the blue option anymore. I've been thinking about it. It's going to clash with the dresses. I'm thinking more purple. We make that change, or if a change needs to happen in a pattern or something like that is one of our stock images, we're really flexible, because as we've been talking about, it's all about the design. We want to make sure that the client's happy and that it looks the best that it can. So we're really flexible with that. And then, like I said, we'll meet with someone as many times as we need to get the design right.
Shannon's amazing, by the way. I don't think that's said enough. So if you listen to this, you're amazing, Shannon. Thank you for everything. And
she might be she's actually down in Florida right now. She's on vacation, and she said that she might tune in. So I'm not sure if she's watching or not, but I'm sure she'll watch after.
Well, if she is watching, she should have a drink in her hand of some time. So I'm just going to say transformation. So we do have to talk about the other side of the company and BLC and things like that, and that would be Carillon Park. Yeah. So we want to focus on BLC. That's the reason that we're talking today, and lighting and stuff like that. But I don't want it to go unsaid. You guys kind of handle the bookings for Carillon Park, right? As far as the tours and things like that. Tell me just a little bit about that. We'll close with that.
Yeah, so we handle we run the event rentals department there for private events, not necessarily their in-house festivals or anything like that, like Railfest or anything of those, the educational festivals or anything like that. Any event that is a private event, whether it's a wedding, a corporate event, a meeting, a baby shower, things like that. So we handle all of those rentals. We answer the phones. We do the meetings, we handle the bookings, and we also handle the event setups and teardowns. We have an entire crew that sets up all the tables, chairs, throws the linens, and we communicate with all the vendors, the caterers, things like that, for all of the Carillon Park Date and History venues, which a lot of people don't know it because they're just, Carillon Park, oh, you've got the place with the trains and the bridge, or you've got that brand new ballroom. We actually have, short of maybe the convention center, more venues under the Carillon Park Event Services, Carillon Park Date and History umbrella than anyone else. We just on our property at Carillon Park, we have our grand ballroom, the Eichelberger Pavilion, we have the transportation center, and then we have a number of outdoor locations that we can have tents put up on the property. We can have we've got 6 outdoor ceremony locations between the property and some offsites. So there are we could have several events on the main campus on one night, and then we also manage Patterson Homestead, which has it's an old historic, somewhat haunted mansion, and it's got a nice little party room in there, which is great for meetings, small events. But the real gem of that property is the gazebo outside. And actually, I remember I was scrolling through some old photos when we were testing the live stream at the beginning of COVID. It's got a gazebo that we can have beautiful outdoor ceremonies out there. And it's beautiful a great parking real close, a nice sidewalk that goes to it. So that's been really popular for ceremonies. And then we also have the old courthouse, which is downtown, which is at Courthouse Square, which we are in the process of putting together some tours and a photo shoot, because in my opinion, that venue has so much potential. And over the years before we stepped in, events really haven't happened there for a number of reasons, being downtown, lack of parking. But it's such a beautiful venue, and the architecture inside and just the history of that building. There's a lot of options for ceremonies, small corporate events. We've actually been in talks with Kevin over at the arcade of figuring out, like, how can we work together and have a ceremony at the courthouse, or the old or historic courthouse, and then they walk across the street for the ceremony or the reception in the arcade. You go from one historic building to the other. You go from one giant dome to a bigger giant dome, and it's got a lot of potential with that. And then on top of the courthouse, we have Memorial Hall, where we don't do a lot of in that. Actually, I think there might be a photo in the photos of Memorial Hall, because of the age of the building and the restrictions we have with there. We can do ceremonies in the lobby. We actually have dance competitions. We have one next week. We had one last week, and then we are also able to do small corporate cocktail hour events, which I believe there's a photo maybe of a cocktail event that actually had a lot of lighting in it as well.
I thought it was in here too. I could have swore I saw it. This is the stage, right?
That's the stage. Yeah, that was from the fundraiser fight night. I wonder where it went.
Yeah, I know. I thought I saw it in here too. Oh, there it is.
So yeah, the lobby is just the veterans lobby is a gorgeous space with all of that architecture and the walls and the pattern on the floor that we were able to do. And this is where a pattern with the color came in. We blasted the ceiling and the walls with a color wash, and then put a blurred out template with a different color on the floor, and it made for a really nice cocktail hour space. Which on our website, I think we've got some before after photos of the space, but similar to Grand Hall, the walls are pretty close to the same. The ceiling fixtures, or the chandeliers, if you will, are not not the most appealing for a cocktail hour if just the regular lights are on. So that's another one of our spaces. So yeah, we still do the production at Carillon Park, but back in July of 2019, we were asked to put together some options, and we ended up taking over the event rentals department there.
Well, and let me tell you the reason why I brought that up. It's because you know the industry from different sides than just the lighting side. And I think that's important. I think that's really important to know, like, how an event is going to go and the flow of an event, and, you know, the all of the ins and outs that go into an event, not just I set up lights, I leave, I come back later, I tear them down. Because so I think that's important when it comes to your design, because when you design, you're having things in mind, like the table layout and, like, you know, things that most people would not think about, not just cord management and stuff that's specifically related to the lighting, but you're thinking about everything as a whole. And I think that's super important. So that's the reason I bring it up. I think that your knowledge in the industry and what you do in the industry outside of just putting up a light is very, very important to who you are. And it speaks also to, you know, why you choose BLC for your lighting.
Thank you. Yeah, the being well-rounded with the knowledge of how an event works, whether it's a concert, a wedding, knowing how to communicate with venues, having an understanding of, you know, the DJ's doing this because this has to happen. The caterer showing up at this time. Room layouts during COVID, we learned so much, and we revamped our policies, and even before COVID, we got creative on the venue side of I don't know if you guys DJ'd one of them, but something that we can really get creative with at Carillon is we can do a true room flip in the pavilion. And it's neat because no other venue has the option of, you can have your ceremony, and then in an hour cocktail hour, you can go have some cheese on a plate and grab a cocktail and go walk through a heritage center and look at the GM exhibits, look at the NCR exhibits, you know, set your drink down, ride a carousel. And then in that time, we completely flip a room. And then when they come back in, it looks completely different. And the speed of that, just the techniques that we picked up with in this industry of how do we set tables up in record time, how do we make them all uniform? Well, you helped us with one of them, where we've got polls where our event captains will literally, okay, table 5 here, poll here, next table, and then boom, the tables and chairs come out. And it's being safe, having the speed of it, and then knowing what everyone else is doing and why they're doing what they're doing definitely goes a long way in this industry.
Yeah, that may have came from your time doing the concerts and stuff like that, because that's what I felt like. We were kind of like behind the curtain, and it was like they were having the ceremony and everybody had like a table in their hand. They're like, okay, last couple, go. And so we like came out and got everything set up. And so, yeah, that was cool. To be
on our Facebook page, we have a time-lapse video of the first one we did. And it was actually the first wedding we had in that room. And we had Elite Catering help us, and their servers helped us put out the tables. But by the time by the time the last person left and the pipe and drape started falling, it was 28 minutes that we flipped the room, and I think catering was fully set in like 39 to 40 minutes out of our hour time block. So it was, you know, very, very quick.
That's awesome. Well, we've gone a little bit over what we targeted for, which was an hour and 30, but like I said, Brian and I are friends. We could talk forever. So we will go ahead and wrap this up. I need to say hi to my daughter, Michaela. Hi, Michaela. And if you guys have any questions or anything, Brian, one more time, where do they go?
You can reach us out on Facebook. Our website is blcentertainment.com. You can email myself, Brian, at blcentertainment.com, or Shannon at blcentertainment.com. And our phone number, which, you know, technology, most people email now, but it's 937-237-3165.
All right. That's it. Brian, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I enjoy talking to you. and we'll see you soon, man. We work together all the time, so we'll see you
Yeah,
soon.
sounds good. Thank you for having me.